Oh, hello there, Twitch chat and YouTube watchers. We are battling on a Wednesday night. This is Mythic Society weekly event, F&M style MTGO tournament every Wednesday. Please subscribe to the Mythic Society Patreon and then play in all of their events for a month. It's super cheap, and you get to play in Set Roulette, which was featured in the last video. Definitely check that video out too, as well as all of their weekly events. So you're paying, like, if you just played the 4 vintage events, you're paying what, less than $2 for each event, and yeah, it's really fun. People play a bunch of wacky brews. You get to experience some true F&M style vintage Magic the Gathering. So, what do we got tonight? Rehashing one of my favorite Rogue challenge victories, because I did win a challenge with this. We're playing Welder, Engineer, Painter, Grindstone deck. I don't know what I named it on the stream title. It's something silly with like Goblin artists or something. I don't know. Anyways, basically, you're a Goblin Welder, Goblin Engineer, Painter. You're a Painter combo deck. For those who don't know, Painter Servant makes everything one color, and then Grindstone mills them out because everything is the same color, and it just repeats the process over and over again. You use Welders and Engineers Emeries to supplement that game plan, making it more redundant. You get to play main deck Pyroblast, as you can turn anything into blue, so you can even kill lands. And then you have basically a bunch of Silver Bullet artifacts that you can search up with your Engineer. My favorite combo is turn 1 Goblin Welder, turn 2 Engineer for a Bolas' Citadel, and then Weld a Mox out for a Bolas' Citadel. What else we got? We have powerful black cards, Vamp Demonic Yogwill, powerful blue cards, Misstep Recall, Time Walk Tinker, Restricted Karn, and a Underworld Breach to I mean, you're going to be doing some milling and some putting cards in the yard, so the Underworld Breach works pretty well. Somehow I fit Underworld Breach Brain Freeze combo in here because the LED works pretty well with Grindstone. If I'm going to play LED, Petal, and this kind of stuff already, might as well just play Breach Brain Freeze. One card we're testing today is we're testing the Ruin Grinder, one of the basic cyclers from, I don't know what set this is, Command or something, but it's this pretty sweet 7/4 menace that mountain cycles, and then also has a wheel on it if it dies, so we're going to try that out today. I'm already way over time. I gotta go find my opponent. Who is my opponent? My opponent, oh, okay, perfect, it's Abe. Abe will understand. So yeah, we're gonna be playing our round 1 versus versus Horror 1, which is currently a bug deck. So a bold choice from Abe tonight. Let me create this match. Mythic Abe. It's actually not too bad that we're playing against Bazaar. We do have 4 Tormod's Crypts and a Goblin Welder, which can be a pretty powerful engine at stopping Bazaar Baghdad, along with things like Needle and Bridge. Obviously, these decks get to play 4 Force of Vigor, which makes things slightly annoying. But yeah, so it's actually very, very similar to the list that I won the challenge with back in 2020 at some point. I think I just went and I grabbed that list and I just made like a few changes. I think I threw a Cavern in. I kind of changed up the Arkham's Astrolabe mana base to just have a Badlands, 2 less basics, a Badlands, and a Cavern. And then I just trimmed in and manipulated some of the numbers that I thought were probably wrong from the last time we played it. We're still looking for Abe. Where's Abe at? Am I doing something wrong? I don't really see any Mythic Society events happening right now. Round 1 is up. Don't forget to submit your deck lists. What am I missing here? Am I missing something here? Hello? I just don't think Astrolabe is very good. It's just not a powerful enough magic card. You're not really doing enough with it. Oh, here we go. Excuse me. Okay, so we have made it to round one. Let me just pull up my opponent's list so you guys can see. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Small tournament tonight. Only looks like 9 players. Another reason that I need y'all to come play with me. There is magic to be had. So this is what Randy is on tonight. We've got just a pretty standard Hazar horror one. Anything special? Anything spicy? Anything wild? Not really. Looks pretty straightforward. A little bit more on the prized amalgam GAC engine. For horror, horror is currently bugged right now. It doesn't actually let you put it in a correct order, so we'll see if that happens to our friend Randy tonight. Either way, let's get started. What do we got? We're on the play, and we have Goblin Welder into Goblin Engineer. What we don't have is any Moxen. We're also missing a mana, which we really need. We can't even cycle. Now, I think this is a pretty reasonable hand. However, with the way my opponent's deck is set up, if I were to miss a land drop on the first turn, I don't think we would be able to win this game. And I think there's a fairly reasonable shot we would miss. We have something like 22-ish hits. So it's like not really setting us up for success. So we're going to mulligan this. Yeah, so this is interesting. What do I have in my sideboard? I have a needle. Oh, yeah. So we're gonna keep this hand and just see if they have a force. We don't really need this lightning bolt, so we're gonna be okay without it. I'm gonna play my basic so that it doesn't get wastelanded, and I'm going to just jam this card. My opponent kept a 7-card hand, which means they likely have Bazaar and other cards. The question will be, do they have Bazaar and Force? They do not. Okay. So I can just plus, or I could minus and get a Tormod's Crypt. Again. Nothing they should put in the yard. Well, I guess the horror could come back this turn. Yeah, I think it's okay to go get a Tormod's Crypt on this turn, and then go get a Needle on the next turn. Or I could get like a liquid metal coating on this turn, and then liquid metal coating their Bazaar and kill it on the next turn. Kind of an interesting thought. If I were to get liquid metal coating this turn, and then next turn we cast it, if it gets countered, no big deal. We get a Tormod's Crypt, which may or may not be good enough. It might just not be good enough, because they could play a bunch of hollow ones this turn. So nothing we do is going to be good enough against a bunch of hollow ones. I guess theoretically we could get an ensnaring bridge at some point. There's definitely some upside here to just going for this liquid metal coating, though. Kind of interested in that idea. Let's try it. So they didn't have any Force of Will or Negation. They have 8 of those. They also have 4 additional Mindbreak Trap, which is a good reason not to, like, get a Tormod's Crypt and play it. That'd be a free Mindbreak Trap. They also have a Mental Misstep, which is maybe a reason not to get Pithing Needle. A lot of things going on. So the thing we don't want to see the most is a hollow one. I would assume they probably have a hollow one if they didn't have a force, but we're gonna find out after they resolve this Bazaar. Okay, they had horror, squee, bloodgas, and the horror actually went in the right place, so they're gonna definitely get some value. It's possible we want to just get a Tormod's Crypt anyways. All right, they have a hollow one as well. It's a strong hand from them. It's kind of what you would expect from kind of what you would expect from a hand that didn't have a force. I do get to return horror. So as long as they don't have a second bazaar and our liquid metal coating resolves, we might be in fine shape. That's not a terrible card either. I'm just pretty worried that we're not going to be able to. I think opponent did not know that it's bugged. My opponent said, oh, why didn't they go in the right order? So I'm going to play this liquid metal coating and see what happens here. All right, so that's pretty good for me. Get to at least kill off this Bazaar of Baghdad. Maybe not the strongest play because I don't have any graveyard hate right now. But if they don't have a second Bazaar, they're like really pretty anemic at this point. So it could work out, but it also could be terrible. I could see that being the case. The problem is, if I were to get a needle, the needle is pretty susceptible to Force of Vigor. So it's hard to play around everything. These free spell decks, free spell Bazaar decks are pretty redundant, and they have one of their remaining 3 Bazaars. All right, so I don't really see a way in which we're going to win this game besides maybe, I don't know, sneaking a combo underneath something. We're pretty much very, very much dead. We just don't have the things that we need to be able to combat a double Bazaar, double squeeze draw from our opponent. I don't think very many decks have that ability, so kind of broken. There's a lot of peppers. All right, so this time they lost the 50-50 and the horror ended up above the squee. Yeah, this deck is bugged so that one of its key interactions doesn't work, and it's still probably one of the best decks in the format, which is completely wild to me. So I don't really think that I'm allowed to cast Ancestral on my own turn. Then I let them draw 2 cards, so it doesn't really get better. I don't know. I think we're just dead. Opponent's deck is just too good. None of, like, this card is the only card that would actually just resolved. Interesting. Okay. All right. If that's the case, then we play on. I think the play here will be Mountain Cycle my Ruin Grinder and then cast an Emery. And then that lets us do things like replay Black Lotus. Would be nice. Mountain Cycle my Ruin Grinder. I don't know what's in their hand if they have no counter magic here, but I'm down. I'll take that. Alright, so I milled a Painter Servant, which is not great, but we do have Black Lotus, so we have Demonic. We have a counterspell for next turn as well. Why do I feel like we're going to get Vigored or something here? I don't think this liquid metal coating does very much, so maybe it was a terrible idea to play. I don't know. If I hadn't destroyed the Bazaar, they would have 2 Bazaar activations with multiple squeeze, so it kind of feels like if I hadn't done liquid metal coating, I would have also lost. But I guess if I had gotten Needle and they didn't have a mental misstep, then maybe Needle would have been better. Could definitely see that. All right, I'm just going to F6. What is this? Why is that attacking? Block. Okay. Oh, so the horror can come back. All right, I should not have blocked there. Blocking there gets their horror back. To be fair, their horror should have already been back in their hand already, but the game is bugged, so maybe, I don't know. maybe it's a little gray rules area there. Hard to say. All right, so where are we now? We have a Black Lotus that we can cast with our Emery. We have a piece of counter magic. My opponent still has 8 cards in hand and has cast no Vigors and no counter spells. So, wait, what the heck? Where'd the horror go? Oh, it's their end step. They're waiting to activate until their end step so that they don't... I don't understand. So they don't discard? Okay. They wanted to get the horror back and then activate the Bazaar. I guess that makes sense. I buy it. I'm out of beef. All I have is peppers. Whoops. Alright, so how do we win this game? It's gotta start... Well, we could always Painter Servant and name blue, which is obviously very bold. And and Pyroblast their Bazaar. That is something we can technically do. We also have Black Lotus. Maybe the very first thing we should do is cast Painter Servant. Or is the very first thing we should do Bazaar? Or, I don't know. We have to try to play around Mindbreak Trap as well. Maybe the best play is cast Painter Servant. Make a very bold blue name. Oh god, they have an Amalgam, a Horror, and a Squee. I kind of want them to force this, seeing as we can always replay that. Okay, they didn't want to force that. Alright, well, I'm going to try to kill this Bazaar of Baghdad again. I don't think it is much better for me to do anything else. This at least still plays around Mindbreak Trap. Obviously doesn't play around Negation, but I don't think giving them another Bazaar activation is particularly interesting by any standpoint. Alright, let's see how this goes. I guess they could have just have Vigor here, and it's pretty a terrible use of Pyroblast. But then... no, it's probably just bad. yeah, it's probably just bad. I don't know, the Pyroblast doesn't really get better, but... I don't know. So, like, do we even... we don't probably cast Lotus here, because casting Lotus would get trapped. It's just not going to get better, though. Like, if they have a trap, like, we're just... they'll at least find one of their traps when they're drawing 3 cards a turn. I hate this playing against this deck. It feels so hopeless as a... not even a fair deck, but just, like, as a deck that casts spells for mana. It feels pretty shitty when your opponent just casts all their spells for free. Yeah, I guess theoretically we could cast Pearl here. I just think we're losing if we're doing that. I guess we're probably losing either way, but... you just feel really silly when you sleeve up a deck and then your opponent comes and just pays 0 mana for every card in their deck. Nothing costs mana. This just resolves. All right, so I'm gonna go on the they don't have a Mindbreak Trap life and just cast this Demonic Tutor. What am I getting though? Like, no, they have a force, so they just waited. Okay, so they've had a force this whole time, but nothing we've ever done has been nothing we ever have done has been impactful enough for our opponent to actually counter. That's how that's how underpowered we are compared to our opponent's deck. I don't think we ever had a single chance in this game after our opponent kept their 7-card hand, right? Maybe if we had gotten a Tormod script and then a Pithing Needle, maybe that would have been the play. Maybe I punted this game when I got this Liquid Metal Coating. But my opponent had at least a Force of Vigor at some point in this game, so... I don't know. Look at this parity breaking. Oh, yeah. So not only are they drawing 3 cards a turn, but they're also attacking for 6 for free. How can we win? I don't know. I don't really think there is a way to win. I don't have enough mana. Alright, I'm just gonna go to the next game. This is just kind of not worth playing. I probably should have conceded a while ago, but we still had spells. What do we do? What do we do? I do like to play Blightsteel as my Tinker target, though it's obviously not an Engineer target. Actually, we might just want to take that out, to be perfectly honest. We probably just want this Bridge in the main, the Needle in the main, and 3 Crypts in the main. I guess we could just play 4 Crypts in the main. Defense Grid's still good. Bolt bad. Misstep bad. We have a Cavern in our deck. I think this Breach combo's kind of sus. They're playing 4 Mindbreak traps. Maybe we can... Maybe we can have a Bifrost to kill Hollow One. That's just kind of terrible. I think keeping Pyroblast in is fine. I don't know, between all the rest of these cards, I guess Bifrost is fine. Having a way to kill a Hollow One is kind of nice. I guess theoretically we can play Tinker Blightsteel. And then we can just take out the Bifrost and take out a Pyroblast or a Top. A Top seems pretty bad. Yeah, this looks fine. Let's do this. So hopefully our opponent doesn't keep a 7-card hand with 2 Bazaars again, but... Okay, what do we got? Well, we got Painter Grindstone. We also have Ancestral. Yeah, I mean, this hand's pretty good. Let's do it. Slick opponent has mulligan to 6. So here, I do think that I'm going to play Jet and Grindstone. Obviously, that plays into Force of Vigor, but it also plays around Mindbreak Trap. So, like I said, it's kind of impossible to pick and choose like what to play around, and I really can't do much about it. I just have to get wrecked by whatever they have. I think playing out our spells is a little bit more important. So drawing all 3 Goblin Welders when we have no red source and is pretty bad. And it will be even worse if they kill off our Jet with a Force of Vigor and then we can't cast Yogwell. But they got a bunch of Basking Root Wallows. They already found a Squee to break Bazaars. And a Hollow One. Brilliant. Brilliant. So turn 1, they, drew two extra cards and made 6 free power. I drew my 4th Goblin Welder. I expected nothing less. Well, I am going to put Lethal on the table and make them have Counter Magic / Force of Vigor. I'm going to name not green, because that would let them Force of Vigor. Not blue, because that would let them counter spells. Let's name black. No, that's for Contagion. It's okay. Contagion can't actually kill Painter Servant, so we're okay. If they had Sickening Shoal, black would also be wrong, though. We should probably have named white. But they have Contagion. I guess if they have 2 Contagions, then we certainly made a mistake. You should probably have named white, is what we probably should have named. I forgot they had Contagion, to be perfectly honest with you. Exclamation mark F6s. Look at this hand. We cast Ancestral and it was actively not great. Whoa, we won though. My opponent had no Force of Vigor and no counter spells. Wild. What a brilliant game of Magic. Okay, next. This is just... Oh boy. I'm really not excited for when Grief comes out, the new Modern Horizons 2 card, because I expect it to make Vengevine an extremely powerful deck. And playing against bizarre Vengevine decks is just atrocious magic. Just atrocious magic. This is garbage. Let's try again. This is another ancestral hand, so we're gonna keep. I'm gonna just put this away, and we're gonna try to deploy the fleet. Hogak Vine is interesting in the fact that it's an aggro deck, but if it becomes an aggro deck that is too good against like the flaws and Hogak has very pronounced pros and cons to playing it, which is fine. I don't mind that. But if Hogak becomes too consistent at putting vines in play, also being good against blue and combo by having an unmask as part of its putting vines in play, I could see that being problematic. Well, that's a draw. Okay. How do I want to do this? I think I just want to go... what do I want to do? I have to consider Vigor, and I have to consider Trap, and I have to consider Negation. I'd like to cast this Ancestral on their turn, but there aren't a great set of ways for me to utilize my mana. Like, the one I'm leaning towards is Mana Crypt Needle Go. In which case, if they Vigor my Needle and my Mana Crypt, at least I don't get domed by my Mana Crypt, and then theoretically I can Black Lotus out an Ensnaring Bridge. I guess that's the best. Yeah, I'm not excited for Grief Trigger Vengevine. Because Vengevine has always been a pretty hard deck to interact with. Even though there are things like Ravenous Trap or being on the play. Interesting. I'm going to... Man, I just can't play into Mindbreak Trap, though. I'm still gonna not play anything this turn. Just like, if your opponent like activates Bazaar and pitches Root Wall as it gets around Mindbreak Trap, and there's just like a whole load of ways that it's really hard to interact with, like Hollow One draws, or sorry, Vengevine draws. And I think it makes for some pretty solitary magic. When your things don't really go on the stack, it definitely eliminates some avenues of counterplay. I don't mind where we're at with this hand, and obviously this Pyroblast isn't fantastic, but we should be able to deploy all of our cards next turn, which will force them to have... I think Pyroblast does protect from another Force of Will, but they pitched a Negation. The thing I'm super worried about is Vigor. They only have one Squee active right now, so they're just Faithless Looting every turn. They're not drawing extra cards per se. And now we have a... ooh, okay, alright. Let's just start deploying the shit. I don't think I need to play around Mindbreak Trap anymore. With the current state of affairs here. And we're gonna have a Goblin Welder loop happening here soon. I think we're in a great spot this game. I do think that of the weird decks in the format, I do think that the deck that we're currently playing doesn't have a terrible Bazaar matchup because it packs a lot of Bazaar hate naturally. This way I get to preserve against Wasteland. My opponent could have double Mindbreak Trap here, which case I will be sad, but I will still have a Welder Tormod's Crypt loop, so I don't think I should be in too bad a game plan. Let's see what they have going on here. Also, if they have a Vigor, but they don't have another like trap for this Welder or Contagion for the Welder, then I don't think I care. Theoretically, I could exile my own graveyard to fizzle this. I just don't give a shit. Just having like a Goblin Welder, Tormod's Crypt loop, and having all these tutors for artifact based hate. I do think that this deck is pretty well suited to beat Bazaar decks. The thing that this deck can really struggle with is like a fast hollow one draw. Even then, if they are ever pitching a Serum Powder, I can like Welder their hollow one out. See what their last two cards are here. That resolved. All right. Does this resolve as well? No. Okay. So they had a negation. So they could have negated this Ensnaring Bridge. But because they saw my hand with Surgical Extraction, they chose to hold their last counterspell to force the Welder so they wouldn't get locked. Which is a smart play because we have an active Mana Crypt, so the Ensnaring Bridge isn't doing everything. We still want to Termite Crypt them here so they don't have a squee. So they are on 0 cards, and they have a Bazaar and a Root Walla, and we are on 0 cards with an Ensnaring Bridge, but we do have a Mana Crypt, which is problematic. And knowing my Mana Crypt could be very problematic, but the first flip came out okay. A Grindstone is interesting, but not exactly super powerful. Does open up a whole suite of draws that are good for us. We don't want to ever Grindstone them. That would be bad. But we could Grindstone ourselves, theoretically. I don't think I'm going to Grindstone myself. I think we boarded out enough cards where... we boarded out the Breach. I don't think I want to Grindstone myself right now. I don't think that really helps us. So my opponent, unfortunately, has the horror bug, or else they would be able to return this to their hand, and we would be in a pretty unfavorable position, seeing as they have already broken the Bazaar downside by having a horror. Every time we draw... I don't know, this is okay. We just won a second flip, though, so that's very strong. Theoretically, we should be grindstoning ourselves, because if we were to hit an Emery, we want to be able to bring back a Painter Servant. So let's grindstone myself here. Milled 2 dead ones, which was nice. Obviously, that's completely luck. I lost that flip. Found a Tormod's Crypt. Not a bad card to draw. If they are to put some Arda creatures back on top of this horror, we can hit it. Oh, I forgot to grindstone myself. Don't think it matters a lot. All right, engineer, perfect. So they have to have a force of will here, which seems fairly unlikely. And this is just going to put a Painter Servant into my yard. And now I have the ability to combo on the next turn. I also have Tormod's Crypt loops again because of my Goblin Engineer. Probably should have searched for basic mountain. I don't know why I searched for Volcanic Island. That was a misplay. Okay. And we don't want to be... Okay. Hold on. They do have Surgical Extraction and Noxious Revival in their deck. So the cool thing here we can actually do is cast Yogwell so that if they do have surgical on Painter, we actually have the response that we need, which is kind of sweet. All right, so I'm gonna just start with black. I should have probably activated this Tormod script first. I guess the first thing to do is start with a Bloodstained Mire. Black Lotus. So the problem with this line is I'm playing into Mindbreak Trap. But I think that's okay if I just lead on like Welder Ancestral. I think there's a distinct possibility that I don't want to cast Painter Servant this turn. Well, now I don't think it matters. I'm not sure this was the best sequencing we could have played. I'm opening myself up to Mindbreak Trap because I have other options here. Oh, though, a problem with this line is these are going to get exiled. So that was kind of silly. Okay. Yeah, that was bad. I'm going to not play this Grindstone into a possible Mindbreak Trap. I think that would be bad as well. Yeah, I'm just gonna pass. I think we're like still fine. But we have another Grindstone. We're okay. I'm aware we have another Grindstone, but the other one is exiled, and I don't want this Grindstone and have it be Mindbreak Trapped. I'll have plenty of room to use it on my next turn here. So, I have like all kinds of fun things we can do. I don't have additional counter magic to vamp for, right? I do think we want to get rid of the Mana Crypt. I might just exile their yard and then weld the Mana Crypt out. The one thing we can't do much about would be another negation. And then we'll just vamp for another one, I guess. Or engineer for another one. If they were to mental misstep, we could just weld it back in, so that's no problem. We're very, very far ahead here. Thank you, Wailord Shark. Prime, appreciate that. All right. So I think we may have made some slight sequencing errors near the end there, but we were very, very far ahead for a large portion of that. I'm not super convinced we would have won if we had opponent hadn't been bugged out a couple times by the Provoking Horror bug, but overall, pretty nice performance from the welding Tormod's Crypting package here, which is a really cool upside to playing a sweet deck like this. Welcome to round 2, Mythic Society, and like I said earlier, it's not a Mythic Society event unless you play against Mono White at least once. So we got Elijah here on their trusty Mono White Luris deck. Creatures that cost less than 3, half the exiles, fast mana, and snow-covered plains. Kind of an interesting hand. Only one basic. Low amounts of mana. Multiple combo pieces. But our opponent's deck is just so hateful. Are we really allowed to keep this? I don't know. Let's try. Seems reasonable. Plains. Ruby. Lumi. I'm going to go with the mountain here. And I'm going to play a Welder. Could have played a Grindstone. But I think having a Welder in play gets a little bit better. Unfortunately, they do have a Wasteland in this draw, which means we probably need to top deck some mana. Moxen or otherwise. The clock starts happening here with the Lumi already at 3/3. This thing doesn't really affect us too much. Yeah, so let's get a Servant in play. This one will definitely name blue. So unfortunately, we're going to get Wastelanded. And we basically have to top deck mana. The nice thing is, well, it would be a nice thing, the fact that we have a 1/3 blocker, but our opponent has successfully drawn the best 2-drop white creature in existence, which makes the Spirit of the Labyrinth a 4/2. And a Thalia. Alright, well, shit. You can here's like where Lumi really shines. Like, it's just impossible to block when your opponent has a Luminarch Aspirant. And we're getting clocked real quick. And we didn't draw that mana source. So I kind of thought this might be not a keepable hand, and it really panned out to be not a keepable hand. Yeah, this is my own fault. I should have just mulliganed this hand. I just thought it was worth a shot. I do think that if we had drawn mana, we would have had a pretty good fighting chance in that game, but it was just kind of unfortunate. I think we're going to just take out Tinker in this matchup. They have Deafening Silence. They have 3 Stony Silence, 2 Kataki. Oh, we're just so fucked. I guess we actually need to play some Pyroblasts, because how else are we going to kill the Stony Silence? Yeah, this matchup looks atrocious. Just horribly bad. This matchup looks very, very bad. None of my cards are good. I guess having Tinker Blightsteel is still fine. Yeah, I definitely should have mulliganed. That was a kind of a complete misevaluation of what we wanted to be doing. Yeah, I think, unfortunately we have this Blightsteel in our hand, so we can't even get Tinker. I don't really think we have a better thing to get either. Not really. We can't play Vamp and Welder. Yeah, this hand's not good. This hand's obviously worse. Oh, shit. I just wanted to play Magic. Come on, why be like that? So we took out the Citadel combo, which is really going to screw us here, but we do have Painter Servant thing. So if we just get Stony Silence, we lose. I don't know. Not something that we can really deal with. But if we hit, I guess technically we could hit Mountain Pyroblast. Ooh, they just went Snow-Covered Plains Pass. That kind of means they're probably going to Stony Silence us. So we can weld whatever we get with this Engineer. The problem is, God, if we had just not cut Citadel from our deck, maybe that was a mistake on the play. Keep Citadel. We would win the game on the spot here if we had a Citadel in our deck still, but we don't. So what are we going to do? We could get a Ruin Grinder. Just a 7/4. Kind of think that's good. I think my opponent is going to go Stony Silence. So... you should probably wait until I put the Citadel in play before conceding. Blightsteel is not a trigger. Blightsteel is a replacement effect. Right? I believe so. I do think that we would be in a pretty decent place in this game because we would put a 7/4 Menace in play. But we don't have the Citadel in our deck. So if Randy goes back and watches this VOD, I would highly recommend waiting till your opponent finds the tutor target before conceding. You know, maybe it is better to have a Citadel than like Brain Freeze. I think it's not good on the draw is my problem. It's like nice on the play because if they just don't have a accelerant, but this is a little bit better than a Crawl Worm. 7/4 unblockable. So they do probably have 4-path exiles still, I would think. We're pretty lucky to win that game. Gosh, this is like the kind of hand. I mean, we're straight keeping this hand, but woo, it's the kind of hand where we're just gonna get utterly punished. Gotta do what we gotta do, though. I'm out of red peppers now. This is problematic. Oh no, I have some over here. That's exciting. Man, it's a little bit spicier than I thought it was gonna be, which I like. I just wasn't ready. All right, 6-card hand from Randy. Turn 1 Stony. Turn 1 Cat Jesus. Fair. That's also pretty good against my deck. My hand currently contains 4 cards that search my library. Fantastic. I guess what we're gonna do is, what are we gonna do, Justin? I think we want to pay this turn, so we could go Black Lotus, pay 3 mana, use a fetch land, Could cast Ancestral by going Vamp top Ancestral. That is not how. That is not how. Not going to work that way. Yeah, I agree. I don't know what we're gonna vamp for though. This isn't Randy. This is Elijah. Maybe I said the wrong name. My bad. I don't know what we're supposed to do here. Our cards are just like not super good against our opponent. I guess we could get a lightning bolt. I think we're just gonna use all of our tutors this turn. Maybe we'll just go for Painter Grindstone. Put the Painter in the yard and vamp for our Grindstone. Yeah, this is like stops a lot of our strong plays. Strip mine is pretty brutal. I'm glad. Yeah, all right, okay. This is still fine. We don't exactly want to get back Lotus. Definitely a play we could make. What we really don't want to see is a Stony Silence, because that is going to put us so far behind. A Remorseful Cleric? Ha! Hi, hi. That is a tilter. Wow. All right. All right. So we do want to bait out this cleric activation. So I think what I'm going to do is pay the tax and get my fetch and then get a red land, which has to be a mountain, which is unfortunate. And then make them lose their cleric. I guess we do lose we don't lose the jet. Yeah, we do lose the jet because it's not a welder, it's an engineer. Ah! Well. I think it's still correct. Eventually we can grindstone ourselves. But the strip mine is going to be pretty prohibitive for that. I kind of have to not get clocked in the meantime, so getting the Remorseful Cleric off the field is pretty reasonable. If they just let it resolve, I'm totally fine with that. We get a 1/3 blocker. Be really weird for them not to crack Remorseful Cleric. If you're not cracking Remorseful Cleric here, why do you have it in your deck? Would be my question. I don't really think it makes a lot of sense to play it and then not crack it here. All right. Thalia too. Wow. All right. Thalia, strip mine, attack me to 12. Yeah, this looks real bad. Looks real bad. You're with Tinker, which is just so unplayable. Yeah, it's kind of the reason I didn't want to have Tinker in my deck. Oh well. How much I can do? I don't think this is a solid. I really don't think this is a very good matchup. It doesn't line up very well against. Oh, jeez. Please stop. Just don't line up very well against what my opponent is throwing in front of me. Ha, I don't have a blue source. Probably should have spun earlier. Oh well. Yeah, we're just very dead, aren't we? Like, we can't even lightning bolt our way out. We just don't have any good draws. Like, we can't, like, fetching is so impossible. Can't play spells. It's just kind of a nightmare. This card, I don't actually think is super good versus most vintage decks, but it's very good against us. Half our deck is tutors. We don't have very much going for. Why didn't they get Luris? What? Why didn't I spin on the upkeep? Also what? Oh, it just doesn't fucking matter, does it? Just doesn't fucking matter. I don't have another mountain in my deck to mountain cycle into. I used them all. Alright, well, we died. That's unfortunate. Alright, yeah, this matchup is just atrocious. Holy shit. Yeah, alright. It wouldn't be a Mythic Society if my cool fun deck didn't die to mono white modern deck. Ah. Alright, in round 3 we gotta buy. Sad days. We need more players. This doesn't happen. Alright, chat. Final round, Mythic Society Weekly. Unfortunately, we had that bye last round, but this round we've got Scriggles, and Scriggles is on DPS, so we got a nice, normal matchup of Magic the Gathering happening here, where we will probably just get completely murdered, because I didn't really put DPS hate in my deck in any real capacity. So, let's maybe try to fire the Painter Laser, as it were. It's just so slow. It's just so slow. I think we have to mulligan this. Too slow. Okay, all right, hold on. Not slow. I think we just get rid of the Welder. And then... Hold open Pyroblast. No, I guess we could just get rid of the... Yeah, we can just get rid of the Welder and hold open Pyroblast. I mean, if we get to rest, we get to rest and do nothing. Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, I mean, that's called magic. Happens. I guess we could keep the Welder and to play around that, but... DPS is Dark Petition Storm. It is a Dark Ritual combo deck that does not play Force of Will. Don't worry, I stopped them from drawing a card and seeing our hand. Everything is going swimmingly. We all know that Gataxian Probe is cheating. Look at that, Slasher. No faith. I will choose Goblino. What the fuck is this? Dark Ritual? All right, so in game 2, we've got a Mind Break Trap. I guess Maybe some Tormod's Crypts. I just want just let me do my thing. I just wanted to do my thing. So evil. All right, that's good enough. Let's do that. Yep, I'm very sure I do not want defense grid. Can I win on turn 1 with this hand? No, I cannot win on turn 1 with this hand. Doesn't draw any cards. Is Blightsteel insane? Nah, too slow. Better to just play a Citadel and try to Painter Servant combo them. All right, so this is a keep. Certainly a keep. I think I want to get the Soul Ring in play now, so I'm gonna do Lotus Academy, Soul Ring, go, and then we can vamp for. Fuck, if I do it this way, yeah, I should still have enough mana to go Breach, Brain Freeze. Guess we'll just get Tinker. Where if they play like Lotus Opposition Agent, lose my brain. All right, now it's my time. It's my time. Oh, we just need to find mana now. Hopefully we find mana before we die. Let's put the I'm gonna put the Trinisphere in the yard so that we don't draw into it. There's 1 mana. Milling. We can shuffle. Let's put a 2-drop in the yard, I guess. Aha! They're dead. Aha! Look at all those things we're doing. Aha! Murder your land. It's all free. Pew! Squiggles is the best because Squiggles lets me do all the fun things. All right, we finally fired a laser. I think that's the first time we've actually fired a laser tonight. Is it? No one else has let us actually fire the laser. God bless. It only took us a couple hours, but we have successfully comboed. Oh, boy. All right, now we need to beat DPS on the draw. This hand actually beats DPS if we draw exactly a grindstone and they don't do anything to us, which is kind of interesting. But I think I'm just gonna mulligan it. Well, I could choose to keep this hand. It's probably close. We just need a high roll so bad to beat DPS. There's just not enough action in here. How is the stream going? It's okay. Is this enough action? Does have a mental misstep. Man. Yeah, I know. We're not much of a high rolling stream anymore. Unfortunately, the high rolling days of Justin is over. What's going on? You got a mental misstep? That'd be rude. I got an Emery. They have trap in their board? I didn't even look. There's too many cards to look at. No, they have flusters though. Interesting. Oh, I milled over 2 grindstones. Unfortunate. All right, well, we didn't really want any of those cards anyways. So we're fine. We're doing okay. Another mana. We can start like activating grind. They're chain of vaporing my Emery. That is acceptable. That is allowed. You be my guest. Be my guest. I would like another Emery trigger, please. Painter servants? No painter servants, just the other grindstone. Jeez. The other grindstone, huh? Wild. A question does become, do we activate this grindstone using our Lotus Petal? Yeah, I think so. I think that's pretty reasonable. You can always bring back mana. I think they have an opposition agent. I milled over a Bolas Citadel. Interesting one. What if I draw a Black Lotus? Time Walk. Sure, why not? A Time Walk. Cool. I will also get a Mana Crypt back. All right, we're doing things. We're doing things. We're grinding. Don't know why opponent kept their hand if it doesn't do anything, but I'm in. Target myself. All right, there's a painter servant in my yard. And that's it. Great success. We didn't even have to use our mental misstep. We did it. GG's. All right, 3-1 with a bye. With the painter servant. So we just lost to mono white Death and Taxes, which is just a typical vintage night. We're never going to beat a mono white Death and Taxes player ever. So yeah, if you're interested in painter servant grindstone, this is certainly a reasonable place to start. I don't even know, we didn't get to try this card out too much, but there was definitely a point in we would have gotten a 7/4 menace. So I think it's pretty reasonable to be trying to play this card. And the other card I think is a little bit better. This one, Angel of Ruins. This, I didn't play any planes in this deck, but if you were to somehow concoct a Goblin Welder deck with planes in it, then I think this card's pretty solid. Pretty solid. So yeah, so this is a totally workable deck. I wouldn't say it's a great deck. You could, there's plenty of things you can fiddle around with in this deck. Like, I'm not sure you even need Breach Brain Freeze. Maybe you want 4 Emerys. Maybe you want some other techie cards. It's actually a lot of space to work with this 75 and figure out something you want to do with it. So, by all means, if this tickles your fancy, then it's certainly Justin rating of playable. Would I recommend playing it? No. But it certainly can win you your local event, that's all we ask for, right? So yeah, pretty sweet deck.